Welcome everyone, and thank you for taking the time today joining us on this webinar organized by DALIM Software. My name is Louisa El Ali and I am Marketing Manager at DALIM Software. We are here with Arnaud Mazon, CEO of Galilée, and Isabelle Bioré-Rayel is also with us. Isabelle is European Business Development Director at DALIM Software. She has a very strong background in software market and in the customer needs. Today, you know, the webinar is about packaging and digital transformation applied to packaging artwork, the 6 keys for success. Packaging is often the most important feature in attracting customers to products, as well as differentiating them from competition. Within a highly competitive market, FMCG industry wants more packaging automation, harmonized processes, global compliance, and integration. We will go through 6 essential steps, and you will learn how to monitor complex projects with many different stakeholders and an increasing number of SKUs and tight deadlines. Rationalize and standardize packaging artwork workflow to streamline processes, manage faster review cycles using user-friendly annotation tools and version management, centralize and repurpose a wide variety of content, technical, legal, graphic, text, etc. for brand consistency, automate packaging personalization and localization to ensure regulatory compliance, use relevant Kpis to identify bottlenecks and improve overall performance and quality. And now, a little bit of housekeeping. As you can see on the GoToWebinar panel, a section where you can ask questions. Please submit any question that you may have using this panel. We'll answer to as many questions you may have at the end of the presentation. And now is the time to start. Over to you, Isabelle.
Thank you, Louisa. Thank you, everybody, for joining us today for this webinar. When we start talking about packaging over the years has become a significant component for manufacturer. They need it to really market the product. It's an essential sales tool manufacturers are using to create consumer-specific experience and to make product more appealing. For customer, packaging is also very important as it gives them more information about the product. They also often judge a product quality solely based on its packaging. It's clear that the interest for creating appealing packaging has increased over the last years. However, with the fast evolving technologies such as smart packaging or connected packaging, active or flexible packaging, it's become more and more essential and central. Within the upcoming years, it will continue to be an extremely important component of the marketing mix, involving more graphic, more data, more process to support. It's very important for brands because by conveying both valuable attributes on a clear brand message, packaging will continue to have the unique capacity to make products stand out in a crowded marketplace. So this is why packaging is really essential for brands. It's important for brands to keep in mind that they are facing different challenges. The first one, they are in a very highly competitive market. It's very important for them to create it right for the different markets. Making it right the first time, adapt the package to the different local markets. Consumer in China are different than consumer in Europe or in US. A key point is also to be able to improve the time to market. And very often, it also means this is to produce more in less time with less resources. Along with this, brands will also have to bring more innovation to continue delivering appealing products to the different market, to adapt to the new distribution, like, for example, distributing through e-commerce, Amazon, and so on. And another emerging point, this is more personalization and even individualization of the packaging. When we look now more specifically of the impact, according to a recent LEC survey, which is LEC is an American organization, asking to 200 brands in the US, 50% of the brand plan to expand price pack architecture in the next 5 years. Packaging formats are there to combat price pressure. It will increase the number of packaging formats more and more. In the same time, brand will continue to launch new products and packaging innovation as well as more substrates. Now, looking at this study more in detail, it's interesting to see that over the past 5 years, and looking at the projection, sub-brand number will be increases almost 3 times than what they have today. And when we look at SKU numbers, we expect a 30% increase for the next 5 years. So this is very important to consider it into when we talk about packaging and brand. How can we explain this trend? Actually, it's explained by different factors. First of all, brands want to propose to the consumer healthier, natural, and green products. As demand for more healthy products come to the market, companies have made adjustments to their product, including more healthy and natural ingredients. Of course, packaging change in the past 2 years reflects this, as 60% of brand owners have introduced all natural and non-processed products, and 53% have introduced health-focused products to their product portfolio. Another reason is that brands move toward more sustainable packaging with less plastic, which are identified as environmental friendly packaging. This is key important. Another reason for packaging increase is the pressure of regulation on localization. Of course, each packaging has to be adapted to the local market rules to be distributed. Without conforming to the local rule, no way to penetrate the market. And those rules are changing a lot in China, in US, in Europe, everywhere. Another interesting factor, this is when we start talking about connected packaging. Actually, connected or smart packaging create a marketing opportunity, bringing the engagement and interaction of the online world to the shopper moment, potentially influencing and driving purchase. Such connection can increase brand engagement, increase product use, and add an experimental element to product interaction. Smart packaging are very often used to build the brand story. You can just scan the QR code or just scan the pictures, and then you will get a very specific product experience, maybe some animation. You can also collect some more information about the product itself. And of course, this is a way for brand to deliver promotional offer and more discounts. More recently, for example, people like Danone, the group Danone, food industry, they have been providing very specific QR code under the label of their yogurt pot to identify when the consumer are eating the yogurt, at what time, which kind of products they are consuming. Now, another important point, this is personalization. Is it important for packaging? Is it starting to happen? Actually, when we look at personalization, we know how much important it is for all kind of marketing we are receiving today. But how does it apply to packaging? Actually, there are a lot of production into the market. It can bring a lot of value. For example, according to a study done in 2017, the expected value of the personal gift market will increase of 55% up to 2001. Another study from Deloitte estimates that 50% of the millennium and Generation Z consumer express a desire for personalized products. When we look at shoppers, 70% declare that they are willing to pay more than 10% on top of the current price for a personalized product. So as such, brand owners say they plan to launch more SKU to be compliant with these very new demands. Now, considering the e-commerce expansion, as more and more consumers choose to shop online, brands owners are turning to a variety of strategies that involve packaging. For example, people like Danone again, they've been producing very specific new bottles to be able to be packed into the Amazon box to be compliant with the new way of shipping products. Other CPGs need to make change to the packaging to protect also against breakage and to make sure the product will be maintained fresh and consistent. And of course, that they will continue to deliver a consistent look and feel across multiple channels to the consumer. So all those explain the complexity of the packaging, but this is on top of the existing complexity. Indeed, to create packaging, it's involved a lot of tasks, a lot of steps. From design to print, it's involved a lot of product stakeholders, marketing, R&D, legal, translation, quality control team, of course, supplier and creative agencies. All of those people, they need to share the same information, to collaborate in order to deliver the expected packaging. Most of the time, it translates into a lot of email to be handled with a lot of information scattered at different places. Project stakeholders often struggle with incomplete information along the processes. They miss the price, they miss the information about translation, they miss some regulation information. There's too many files, there's too many versions, and it's almost impossible to locate where is the right information. The current processes in place lack of transparency and flexibility to react rapidly to the market changes and adapt to new competition on downtown. So to address it, companies need to ensure that they have the right tools and processes to manage the package content more holistically to avoid risk of non-compliance. Leveraging a centralized, automated approach makes good regulatory and business sense. Therefore, a powerful project management system combined with digital asset management, DALIM capabilities, is needed to manage packaging as well as collateral material sharing across linked assets. One of the first issues, the solution they will have to put in place will be to handle online collaboration between the different project stakeholders, as well as streamlining the artwork approval workflow. Indeed, just considering the approval cycle, it's still taking too much time. It's lack of visibility and communication between the different people, and it involves a lot of processes and reprocessing. Solution is to get an integrated artwork lifecycle management solution, allowing to review the assets in high resolution online, annotating them, checking brand colors, metadata, creating link between assets, and easily share any content at any time. By using a centralized project management system, time to market is reduced by a minimum of 35%. Also, very often, different systems inside the company are still organized in silo. To get the best benefits, it is important to see the solution as part of the full global enterprise information system and key to connect it to existing systems in place such as PLM, PIM, MIS, e-commerce system. There are many ways to assume it. The best is very often to use powerful API and software connectors. By streamlining the information between the different systems, it would avoid to duplicate data and eliminate numerous errors along the process, assure better brand consistency, as well as optimal speed time to market. This is a key component for more automation. Getting this flow of information streamlined between the different systems will also contribute to deliver a system where personalized packaging will be enabled. And one last point in this strategy, but not least, and very often ignored up to the very last moment, this is to define the KPI. KPI, this is the key to measure the performance. It will enable to measure the performance, to identify the different bottlenecks, and of course, improve the processes. So, key to success when you are considering this complex packaging workflow environment will be to set up a system where you will optimize the approval cycle. It will result into a faster turnaround, put in place some workflow to automate the different tasks between the people stakeholders, between the different tasks to be done, and of course, to set up key performance indicator and dashboard where you will be able to get full traceability and transparency about what is happening. But here, this is all theory. Let's try now to listen to what Arnaud is going to share to us with his experience at Royal Canin and see what they have done to implement it. Arnaud, it's yours.
Okay, so hello everyone, I'm Arnaud Mazan, CEO of Galilée, French integrator of DALIM. So first of all, you will forgive my English accent, as my Irish friend is saying, as soon as he's hearing somebody talking English with an accent means that it's somebody who is talking one language more than him. So we will today be focused on the example of our customer Royal Canin in the packaging production matters. With this big title that is related to what we say as consideration as everything is an asset, and especially right in the packaging production, as we see, there is many types of different assets that have to be managed together in order to be able to embrace the requirement of packaging production. So our agenda today will be about these three topics in order to cover the different theme that we go across. So let's start by the very first one, which is related to the specificity of the packaging environment in the marketing production. As I said, we will focus on the case of Royal Canin. So as maybe you know, so Royal Canin is a branch of Mars Group, of course specialized on pet food, especially for cats and dogs. With these figures that allow to have a better view about the quantity that we are talking about. So we are addressing a company that is a little bit more than 10,000 people, managing 8 brands in 40 countries, considering 800 products. And the diversity of this product related to the different conditions made about 30,000 packs that, of course, then in terms of marketing production are related to a multi-channel approach, which make that these assets will be used in a lot of different contexts. And for what is about especially packaging production, in order to highlight how complex these production are, we are here talking about 86 different suppliers taking care about the printer, repro, agency, legal translation agency, etc. So which means that in order to produce a pack, there is plenty of people that are involved in terms of supplier as well as user, as we are considering close to 1,000 users, which means 10% of the overall people in the company are involved in the packaging production, which is of course a lot. When we talk about variation of product, we are talking about the fact that for the same product, depending about the condition you may consider for each product, it represents this quantity of variation. As well, in terms of projects, the number of 180 projects are the quantity of projects that are running at the same time. Currently, they are running 180 different production projects. So this addressing close to 40 sales regions. And that's where we can imagine how complex this is about and represent this kind of bottlenecks or this kind of problematic for the organization. Because of course, with so large quantity of different actors, type of info, etc., it related to dispersed information. Also, without any appropriate solution, the fact that in order to validate the different components that have to be validated, it can involve too long approval cycles. Sorry. The same for the validation of the design and the ability to trace all the different schema of production that involve the packaging. And of course, also the potential retries and rework that involve this production as soon as you are not able to reuse what was done in the past in order to serve the following production. And all of that is very, very much in touch with low add value tasks, but that have to be managed very often by high value people. But as soon as they are not helped by the appropriate solution, then they will be obliged to do manually all these tasks. So that's where EasyPack is coming. So EasyPack is the solution we develop and we integrate for Royal Canin in order to build the platform that will help them to manage all the life cycle production for the packaging. This platform is mainly related to, first of all, the integration with two pieces of software that are DALIM ES in one side. So DALIM ES is mainly used as engine of all the business intelligence that will be used in EasyPack in order to manage the asset first, serve all the collaboration process in between the different actors of the packaging production, as well the ability to automate all the type of business process that by being repetitive have to be automated in order to, of course, save a lot of time for all the people involved in this task. The second piece of software that we will talk at the end of the press is Kpis that we integrated in EasyPack in order to serve the specific need related to the personalization of the packaging, which is one of the very strong requests for a large part of the brand in order to address their customer by being able, for different business reasons, about the pertinence to customize the product as the customer is looking for. And the aim of EasyPack is to serve, as we will see, the user to an intuitive interface in order to be a part of all this production process by being, again, served by a solution that will deliver to each type of user the information he's looking for. As Isabelle was saying before, in the packaging environment, what is very interesting is to consider all the different information sources that we have to be connected with in order to aggregate all the pertinent information required in the packaging production. So here you can retrieve all the main type of solution that are used in a company, such like, of course, the PIM that we will retrieve in different workflows later on, as well, of course, of the ERP for all the financial matters. Then, as soon as a lot of people are involved, it will mean that project will be managed. So we have also to interact with the project tools inside the company. And considering also the external people that have to be in touch with this production, such like creative agency, translation agency, and of course the procurement, because at one point all this production is about purchasing resources in internal and external. And finally, to deliver, in their case, the 3D bag library, because it's one of the components, one of the marketing materials that will be used in order to highlight the product. As we started to talk about this diversity of assets, it's one of the interesting things that we can highlight on the packaging production. It's about the diversity of the type of assets that have to be managed in order to produce a pack. So as we represent there, they can be, they are for sure, first of all, related to all the usual suspects in terms of type of assets that we are using in the marketing, such like, of course, image, vector image, and text. But as well, all the mechanicals and specific information that have to be considered in the packaging production. And this represents the diversity of the type of assets that have to be considered in the packaging production. As soon as we consider all of these assets and we are able to aggregate them, then in order to produce all this type of packaging, it will be one of the strongest concepts, meaning the business workflows. Because as soon as we are saying that a lot of people are involved and that it involves also a lot of assets and etc., then in order to make a production, it will be about the business process that occur in this production. So we took two examples for this specific context of Royal Canin in terms of business workflow. The first one is related to the creation process. As soon as a new project is launched, then it's about the marketing team to, from the PIM, provide all the information to EasyPack that are related to the product for which a new project has to be initiated. Based on that, to see from EasyPack the interaction with the ERP, generating all the type of invoicing and about accounting that have to be considered related to the project that was launched and for the product that were concerned by that. And especially related to, at this time, the fact that it will involve from the marketing coordinator to, after that, take care of what the marketing and graphic team will generate as order in order to see their external creative agency produce all what expected in terms of creation in order to serve their packaging production, which will arrive to the results that are all these separate elements that are each of them have to be approved because, as we were saying, that as soon as we are addressing a marketing production, then it's part of the global marketing approach. Then all these different type of assets will be used, first of all, or let's say, will be used, of course, in packaging, but also as well in other type of marketing production. So, meaning that all this asset production is, of course, related to the packaging production, but is part of the global marketing consideration in terms of asset production, meaning that packaging, sorry, is part of the marketing production, even as an essential one, but using and producing assets that finally will be used in the different type of marketing materials produced by the brand. So, we will be more lucky with the rest? No. So, second business workflow that we wanted to introduce is the one related to translation management. Because, as we will see later, as soon as we are talking about packaging, one of the aspects is that the packaging is the first marketing materials and the essential one related to the fact that the brand, as Royal Canin, can't sell any product without the packaging. Meaning that the packaging is the first way and the first essential material required to sell a product, because the product is inside the pack. And also carrying the picture and carrying the message of the brand with all the complexity of this message, as soon as we are talking, as it's the case for Royal Canin, about pet food, considering all the different type of information related to food, even for pets, that have to be considered in a packaging in order for it to be accurate regarding all the different aspects that a consumer is expected when he's purchasing a product. So, not more lucky there. So these were the two workflows that we wanted to highlight in this theme related to the business workflows related to packaging production. The one which was about creation, the second which is about translation, because as we will see later, there are the two that carrying a lot of the content that finally will be aggregated in order to make the packaging ready. So for what is about translation, the workflow there is mainly served by the type of feature that DALIM is providing in here, and especially the ability for the translation agency to send to the workflow the different translation of the text they are producing, and in order to see this content to be automatically replaced in the different layout, considering the different zone where this product is supposed to be sold and this packaging is supposed to be produced. So this content that will be, as I said, used in the pack as well aggregate in the PIM, because as soon as this translation is done one time, then it will be used as soon as in any kind of other packaging, the same content and the same product will be reused. Which drives us to, beside these small problematics, to the type of user experience that we have to serve in there. And the idea is in EasyPack to provide to all the different people that are part of this production to see and access to the appropriate information they are looking for. So of course, first, the packaging itself and the visual of the packaging, depending about what they are working on in terms of product. Also, access to the centralized library, because as we are talking about asset management in packaging, considering the diversity of the type of asset, it's of course one of the problematic to centralize all the different assets used for each production, depending about the way these assets are managed, considering range, breed, in this case, etc. Of course, a solution like that and this type of production is very much about the ability to monitor and to look for the way each production is moving forward. So it's very important to be able to provide the ability for the user to access to the appropriate information, such like, for example, the artwork that are finally what we are looking to produce. And this artwork represent in the way that, in terms of final production, they will be done when they will be sent to the printer. This, of course, combined to the problematic and the information related to the planning. And as soon as it's one of the outputs very well used in this type of production, the ability to generate exports just like Excel, because we know that a lot of people are used to work in Excel in order to make their own reported internally. What we will see quickly is another type of information very important in packaging that are about the target colors, because as everybody knows there, in packaging, we are used to manage complex type of color and finishing where we are at the moment. And as we explained previously, also all the problematics related to the different type of text and legal text, because for a brand as Royal Canin, the ability to well manage the translation for all the legal aspects are one of the critical points, because as soon as this information is not accurate, then it can mean that your product can't be sold in a specific zone. So it's another very important problematic to well manage all the translation process and the ability to aggregate all this content with the appropriate way to assign this content to the context, to the correct context, in order for this packaging to be accurate for each country where the product will be sold. Because as we will see later on, the same packaging can be used in different countries, which means that in the same packaging, we can aggregate 8, 10, 12 different languages, which means that that's in one layout, all this content coming from pictures, text, receipt, and all different type of consideration in this way to be well identified, well used, in order for the pack to be finally appropriate to the country where the product has to be sold. Which drives us to this type of figures, meaning that they are producing more than 6,000 packs per month. So in order to well identify the level of the problematic that we just talked about. In this case, we initiated 3 different types of business workflows as we try to describe. Just for you to know, it's about 21 web service, just to highlight the way a packaging production platform is heavily connected to all, or to a large majority of the other internal system of a company. It drives to 28 different document workflows that are each of them different ways to produce documents, and something like 40,000 personalized packs, because it's and it's the following topic of our presentation regarding packaging personalization. So as it's quite usual today, more and more brands are involved in the personalization of the packaging. But this, in order to address different strategy. In the case of Royal Canin, it's quite interesting. The necessity to involve or to move forward on the packaging personalization, which can be surprising for pet food, was about the alignment with a sales strategy. In his business model, Royal Canin is very much in touch with the veterinaries that are prescriber to their product for their customer. And at one point, Royal Canin create a new type of product, what they call multifunction. So the multifunction product is about the ability, even it can be surprise for people who are not having a cat or dog, considering that with one type of food, it can help to address different type of problematic of disease of your pet, such like having internal digestive disease, or wanted to address the fact that your pet is more young or less young, etc. So this is what they call the multifunction product. But in order to be able to serve this multifunction range of products, it was about being able to build the pet food based on the veterinary prescription. And that's what we answer technically by considering, first of all, the type of layout. So you see here a layout that is at this time quite blank. And this layout having to be, first of all, validated as it is by the people in charge of the validation of the layout and the different visuals that are coming with. In order then, as soon as this layout is validated, to be declined in each different language where this product is supposed to be sold. And this will come us to see now this layout enriched by the different content that have to come in this pack because of the regional zone where this product is supposed to be sold. And based on the order that will come from the different veterinary, as you can see here, that can come for all these different regions. So each line, it's an order. So as you can see, that can come from Russia, Hungary, Netherlands, Poland, UK, France, Germany, etc. And as soon as a veterinary from each of these countries is placing an order, then it will suppose to create the specific pack that this order will mean to customize the product in order to then get the appropriate customized packaging, where, so for all the people who are not talking Russian, that it will be more complex, but from the layout of this packaging, seeing having the logo of the veterinary, and here the address, the name, and soon the picture of the pet and the pet owner for who this specific pet food is done. And based on that, Royal Canin addressed two things. First, the ability to put in place is new range of products that are multifunction. Second, the ability to address the relation of their prescriber, that are the veterinary, with their customer, where instead of this specific relation that involves the multifunction product, a pet owner can finally find Royal Canin product online, sold by e-retailer, where here it's about a specific product sold by the veterinary regarding the specific prescription that this veterinary is doing for this pet. So where a technical solution is addressing a business strategy of the company in order to deliver through this personalization of the packaging a new way to serve the relation between the brand, its prescriber, and the final customer. Which drives us to the last part of this press, that is related to KPIs, because as Isabelle explained on the first part of the press, what is always super important is, especially in packaging production, is the improvement. Because as soon as a business process is running, then each experience of this business process will be an occasion to improve it. And that's where KPIs are about, meaning that considering all the information that are coming from the past production, it would help in order to imagine how to improve the following one. We, in this way, did a survey regarding what type of main information have to be considered in the packaging production. So we divided them in 5 categories. Global vision, that are mainly about the type of global consideration in your marketing production, in your packaging production, such like number of files processed, number of versions per project and per customer, number of artworks over a given period, and number of files processed compared to the number of completed files. So that's the type of KPIs we are considering in this range of global vision, in order to have, as the name it is, a global vision of the packaging production. Then the supervision of the contributor. As we say, there is plenty of different type of contributors in the packaging production. And as some of them are external contributors, it involves expenses. So that's where the ability to improve the way that contributors are used allow to improve the cost related to the supply chain of suppliers in the packaging production. Then, of course, it's about time capture. In there, the consideration are in different ways. First of all, the time available, because all, of course, in this consideration is about time. So knowing the type of time available in the production is key. Then having the ability to see the vision of the number of files that exceed the times. If we plan to produce this type of files in this period of time, each time that a file took more time than expected to be produced, then if we want the following time to improve that, it has to be tracked. Of course, globally, the comparison between the plan and the realized. We plan something, we realize something else. It's important to have the ability to identify in this way what can be optimized in order to make match the plan versus the realized. Also, category and product, because in a global product range, as we are talking on a Royal Canin case, for example, with more than 800 products, not all of the products are requesting the same quantity of work. So all the information regarding which type of product, which type of production, which type of categories of products are consuming more than others, then it helps in order to making sure that what is better in a way help what is worse in another way. And finally, of course, the ability to identify and track what is about error. So it can be, of course, the identification of errors per supplier or provider or actor in there. The number of modification after the engraver step, because as if you are in touch with packaging production, you know that as soon as the photo engraver is done, any modification will involve to go back in many steps in order to replace the new elements that have to be changed. So each time that it can be avoided, it's of course very interesting. And finally, to identify the reason why any result can be rejected, because especially at the end of these workflows, and quite complex as we saw since the beginning, something is wrong at the end. It involves, as we said just previously, that many tasks have to be re-engineered. So that's where each time that this type of problematic occur, it's quite important to be able to identify what have to be improved in order for this example not to happen again. So this, as conclusion to this explanation and example around Royal Canin, as quite interesting example about the problematic that packaging production is highlighting, and especially for what is about managing the assets, because as we said, in packaging production, the diversity of the assets are making this type of production especially interesting in terms of problematic that have to be handled to properly address all the actors in touch of this production. Louisa, you at the end.
Yes, so thank you, Arnaud, and thank you, Isabelle, for your presentation. So now is the time for questions. So I will just share my screen with you. So we have a few questions. So let me go through the list. The first question is, what are the kind of assets used for packaging production?
So we have globally graphical assets, such like, of course, picture, logo, fonts, etc. We have the layout themselves. We have all the content, meaning the text. And with the text, we have plenty of translation text. We also have a whole, especially in the case we told about Royal Canin, we are of the receipt, because as soon as we are talking about food, then we have all the receipt. And this receipt are themselves an asset on its own. We have also all the compliancy information. In each countries, we have different way to represent the way each food is compliant with the regulatory. So, and we also have to consider, as I said, the different people involved in a project. So that's briefly all what we can identify as different type of assets in the packaging production.
Okay, and speaking of packaging production, we have another question. What is the best way to avoid mistakes in the process?
Tricky question. I would say the best is having in the beginning well-designed the business workflows and well identified each time that a validation have to be made. This in order to make sure that at each important step, the appropriate validation occur in order to make the next step more reliable regarding the fact that the previous one were well achieved. And reiterate, which come to the fact that at the very beginning, it's quite important to well define the business processes.
Okay. And another question, what are the best KPIs?
So, as I said, we did a survey on that, and we ask different of our customer in order to highlight what were the type of KPIs that are important for them. So the list I gave during the presentation was about the result we had after this survey. And it was exactly related to what I explained. Having a global vision, being able to manage the contributor, tracking time, being able to define, depending of the category and product, the information, or being able to having the information divided by category and product, and identified and track the error or the mistakes. That are the 5 big categories of consideration that have to be that were highlighted by the people who took part of this survey regarding the most important KPIs in their opinion.
Okay, I think we have the time for a last question. If you want to implement a solution, what procedure do you recommend?
Call us.
Okay.
So I would say that the most important thing is to have a clear vision about your internal business process, because that's really where any kind of supplier as we are able to then understand what is your business process and what type of appropriate solution can be put on the table in order to address this business process. The really important consideration is about the fact that IT is there to serve a business process. This business process is existing anyway. So modelizing a business process will then help in order to serve this business process through IT solution, in order to automate all what can be automated, centralize all the different assets that have to be centralized in order to well serve the different people involved in this production. And then as soon as there is no silos, a good aggregation of assets served by appropriate business process, then it will help to identify through the appropriate KPIs all the ability to improve in an iterative way these processes in order to permanently help to, first of all, improve the existing and serve all the innovative processes that on the ones of the beginning are required to serve your strategic vision in the future.
Okay.
I would add just a few things about this. The best project. This is a project where you will set up a team with a very strong project manager, and in this team you need to get members from each different department, each different division involved in the process. So IT is key, production is key, marketing is key, and you name them. So this is also very important to get around all what Arnaud was describing, to get a team which is going to manage it and drive the project.
Okay, so thank you, Arnaud, and thank you, Isabelle, for sharing with us your best recipes about packaging and digital transformation. Thank you all for your attendance. This webinar has been recorded and will be available soon. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.